day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of State of Our Nation. Now, this is a special broadcast because it's our election broadcast, and quite a few things have developed in recent days. We had a sudden announcement by the Prime Minister that Barbadians were going to the polls, albeit a year and 6 months earlier than constitutionally due. We have old persons that would have been out of the political limelight for some time, suddenly bursting back onto the scenes. And we have persons also, namely opposition leader Joseph Adderley, switching from a long-held constituency to to try to capture a different constituency, albeit within the same zone. And here to unpack all of that with me is veteran political scientist Dr. George Belle, and hopefully we can share some insight as to what all these developments mean. Dr. Bell, welcome to State of Our Nation, and as always, it's a pleasure to benefit from your analysis and insight into these political happenings.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, you can delve into anywhere that I would have highlighted, but maybe a good place to start would be the strategic significance of the decision to call elections early. I mean, we heard the Prime Minister's point of view about the country being this not as unified as she would like it to be. But then there are some pundits might tell you that it's a sign when a government calls election early of some maybe tough austere measures that they want to bring to the fore um, at the beginning of a term as opposed to the end of a term. How do you see it from a strategic perspective?
Well, I don't too much go into. I'm not too much persuaded by the argument about disunity and division and so on in society. Really, tell you the truth. I believe that it was more to do with a kind of political frustration from not being able to implement the program over 5 years from 2018. That, if you easily recall, Miss Motley would have been coming in from a victory over a party that had, in the opinion, I believe, of most of the electorate of Barbados, had done serious damage uh, to the Barbadian polity. So that we were in a situation of serious problems economically in relation to reserves. We were having infrastructural problems. We were having problems in the economy in relation to unemployment. We had undone important social programs like free tertiary education. We were getting tremendous downgrades, a series of them, many over time, so that we were in a deep crisis. And I think that the Barbadian electorate responded to that condition and the feeling that the Democratic Labour Party regime was not coping. So Miss Motley came in on a wave that said, we can manage. And you remember that one of her catchphrases was Watchman. And she had initially this program called the Mission Critical, in which she, over a short period of time, was supposed to implement certain policies that would reverse in a fairly quick way some of the worst conditions that we were facing at the time. I think that she succeeded in setting the foundation or actually accomplishing a number of those objectives and goals in the defined critical mission. And then after a year, she was hit with the COVID pandemic. I remember at the beginning of that year, she was actually talking about having this program every month of the gathering, in which she was trying to bring people back home to Barbados. That was a dramatic demonstration of a policy that had to be abandoned because of COVID. Something that was to go on for a year had to stop after I think 1 month. And when we look at that, I think that this is what she was concerned about now 2 years into the pandemic, practically, where she's saying, I haven't been able to deliver my 5 year program in 3 years. We are far behind in relation to the implementation of that program. And I would prefer to have a 5 year spread, a fresh 5 year spread. And I have sufficient confidence in the mandate of the Barbadian electorate that they would give me 5 more years. So I remember in the Christmas message, she actually said that she wanted to do certain things by 2027. And I said to myself, well, if you want to do things by 2027, you must be adding 5 to 2, which would mean that you want to do another 5 year term. And of course, she was hinting at that previous to the Christmas message as well. People, if you get people to say that they're retiring from politics, why would they time their retirement at the moments that they did, like Lieutenant Colonel Bostic or John King decided to leave politics in St. Philip, or Ronald Topping decided to retire. Okay, so the I think that those were some clear signals that something was going to happen, and then we can roll back and realize that it could be to do with frustration. Further, the shorter the time that she gives to the opposition, the weaker they are. Although I don't think that was a foremost position in her mind either, in relation to the recovery of the DLP, because the DLP did not have time enough in 5 years to recover. Even if it had the full 5 years, it would not have recovered properly. The swing that they would have to overturn in order to gain the government was not really possible in that 5 year period. So the most they could do is gain ground again by winning some seats. And I will say that on the calculation of what seats they could win, there won't be very many either. So that Miss Motley can easily be seen as going early, yes, earlier than is orthodox. But it is to do with, I think, mainly her wish to have a clear 5 years, which she cannot guarantee anyhow, because you don't know what else can come down. Whether another black swan like COVID will come down, you can never predict those things. But she is gambling that she can get a clear 5 years and demonstrate that she had a vision that would be useful to recovery for Barbados.
Now, if you could dig deep for me, Dr. Bell, in the annals of your records, um, could you remember a time when elections was called in Barbados this early, and what was the? I mean, obviously the context would be different. There will be no pandemic and so on. But what was the? How did it work for the party that for the party in power that made that call elections to be that early?
It would be not so much that the party in power made the call. It was the situation with Mr. Sandyford, where he lost the no confidence vote, and therefore he had to call elections early, or
So that was more
else
forced,
be removed from the position. Yeah, so that was forced upon him.
right?
So that other than that, I think there was in the actual references you would see probably Owen Arthur in 99 or something like that, or 99, it would be on 93. 99, probably not 93 because he came in 94. So probably 99, I think, would be the shortest one after that. And I think that was just a question of time in relation to the tourist season, rather than anything that was particularly problematic. Normally, a government would call an early election if they were in a marginal situation. He was not in a marginal situation, and they wanted to take advantage of a weak opposition to gain seats. So that this compounds the situation with Miss Motley, because she's not in any marginal situation, and she can lose seats rather than gain seats. So I don't think there's any particularly outstanding comparison in our electoral history, certainly post independence. But I think even up to the adult suffrage, I don't think there's any situation where you would have this is the earliest and the strangest.
Okay. No, we have some other issues to look at. I mean, we saw in 2018 the country what many would term as a very powerful repudiation of the then Democratic Labour Party. And some political scientists have called it a rejection of all the candidates on those slates. And therefore, it was some would say that it was incumbent on the Democratic Labour Party to provide a fresh slate. But we have now seen three of those stalwarts coming back to the fray, coming back to the fore. What impact do you think that they are going to have on the election? I know that you yourself would have said that saying the seats in the east, St. Philip West and St. Philip North, those are two, most of St. Philip North, that could be in play. So, what impacts those comebacks going to have on the election? And also, while you're at it, in terms of the newcomers, because there are quite a few newcomers for the Barbados Labour Party, um, how do you see that as well playing out in this election?
If you get newcomers out of the way initially, the newcomers are really, they're in the learning process and in the settling down process. So that if there are some with particular outstanding records and they're running the right place, that's the only people that in that category that will make an impact. Sometimes they put people that have political promise in the wrong situation. Look at the guy, Kmart Stewart, that is running in the city. He is obviously an investment for the future for the Democratic Labour Party. And they're running them against Corey Lane in a constituency that is fairly solid with the Barbados Labour Party. So that all you can be doing there is having a learning exercise. Whereas you should be thinking of strategically placing him for the future. But that opportunity is going to be lost. So that essentially it would be a learning exercise for him personally, which is not anything bad either, but it means that he's not one of the ones that can go into Parliament and make a difference. In relation to the older crowd, I don't think there's any argument that people can't come back. It is the quality of the people whether they should come back. And we have people that are coming back for the Democratic Labour Party, some of whom have quality, and some who have almost no quality. And those people that are, in a sense, a liability for the party should have retired and so stay out of politics. The ones that have, even if they carried a lot of baggage from the past regime, they have political talent, then the party can seek to have them to help the younger people in the candidate list. So will obviously mean that somebody like a Michael Lashley would be somebody that could be of service to the party in the recovery. Somebody like Dr. Eswick, somebody like Richard Seeley. But then I could go down the list of the ones that are liabilities and therefore can only damage the party by reminding people of what they were trying to get away from. And there are some that are not participating, who I think would have been very useful to the party and further the constituency. Was not damaged that badly. Let's say St. Michael Northwest, where Chris Sickler was the representative. Now, Chris Sickler was victimized both by the Barbadian electorate and the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party. He sacrificed himself for that party, but he has tremendous political talent, and I believe that it has brought him to a condition of really a lot of re-examination, and we don't even know where he stands now politically. But if he, for instance, had come forward in St. Michael Northwest, there's a strong chance that he might have recovered his seat. So that you look at it in that kind of way, and if you look at it in that kind of way, you'll see that there's some that would be of benefit, there's some that are going to be liabilities. There's young ones that somebody should have an eye to say, invest them in the right place, and there are others that it doesn't matter really where they run or if they run. I think, for instance, that Mr. Pisa, she has chosen St. Lucie as as her area, as her home ground area, although she doesn't necessarily live there, but her family is firmly from St. Lucie. I don't think that for a leader that she's necessarily going in the most attractive constituency for a Democratic Labour Party leader. St. John is obviously the most attractive place for a leader of the DLP to run, but somebody else is running there, and so on. So that I think that we haven't seen the refinement in strategizing by the Democratic Labour Party yet. And this comes from being on the back foot and being defensive and not sure of yourself and so on, and learning on the as you actually have to proceed. So that it's a difficult task to be recovering from the serious setback that they had and to do it effectively all across the country. So they have certainly improved in the period that they've been out of office. I expect that they might get back between 2 to 4 seats or something like that. I can't see how they can overturn any Barbados Labour Party, and but I think that they could have gained probably more ground if some of the positions had been thought out better.
Okay. If we are to lower the bar a bit, because I mean there are many pundits like yourself that believe that, and I think that a lot of persons have come to the conclusion that a overturn of the government is unlikely. But if you were to lower the bar a little bit, well, actually a lot, and set a new benchmark where we can say if the Democratic Labour Party captures X amount of seats, it could be considered a successful election. What benchmark would that be for you?
No, I would put it another way because I would say that if the if the Democratic Labour Party captures any seats, it is a success for the Democratic Labour Party. They just have to capture a seat and get back into Parliament. If they do that, that is a good recovery sign, and then they can build around that so that they have a very low threshold in relation to demonstrating success and improvement because of the fact that the Barbados Labour Party had won all the seats. So you just got to start reversing what the Barbados Labour Party has, and you're going to be on the road to success.
Okay. Now enter the third parties. We know in 2018 we had a myriad amount of third parties that were just coming out from every nook and cranny. Um, we see a few of them coming back into the mix this time. And then what one of particular notice, obviously, is the merger between the Lynette Eastman-led uh, United Progressive Party and the Joseph opposition leader Joseph Adderley-led People's Party for Democracy and Development. They have joined and formed the Alliance Party for Progress, acronym AP. And one of the moves within that within that in that alliance is the shift by Bishop Adderley from St. Michael West, where he, even though he did not win for the win or was a member of parliament for the 2 decades, I think that he would have represented that constituency. He would have at least for those 2 decades contested that seat and would have enjoyed success at least 50% of the times. To switch now to St. Michael Central, I know he gave that point of view that he has deep roots there. What's your analysis? What's your take of this? What some are terming to be a very um, bizarre move, for want of a better word.
I wouldn't even say it's bizarre. I would just say that he's marking political time to his political demise. His political career was finished as soon as he crossed the floor. The only way to save his political career is if he had taken the decision by the Prime Minister not to give him a cabinet post and sat in the back benches of the Barbados Labour Party and waited for the next election and hoped that there could be reconciliation between himself and the political leader. But he he sulked and decided to go on the offensive. And also, there's a certain level of opportunism, I suspect, as well, that he realized that there was an opening, which would even, in a sense, help out Miss Motley, because otherwise she had to get over a bit of a constitutional difficulty. So he saw a window opening that could give him a better prestige and status for a time, and he chose to go there. But his political career, once he did that, once he crossed the floor, he was finished. And
Okay.
the movement from St. Michael West is a demonstration of that, the end of his political career, because he couldn't run back in the seat, where, as you said, he invested a lot of time already. And that means that he knows that he can't win there. He goes to the St. Michael Center really as a show. That is, he feels that that is a volatile area, and he could probably make people feel that it's unpredictable or less predictable than would be the case in St. Michael West. But it is no more predictable in terms of his possible success. He will fail there as well. The Democratic Labour Party has more chance of winning there than he has. And the it, the two of them together are likely to cut into each other's support. So that if overall it would seem to be helping Mr. Holder to survive, even if Mr. Holder had some problems in that constituency, which I don't have any confirmation that he has had problems there. But if it is a volatile constituency, you could start trouble there in relation to going and intervening in it in the particular arena. But in my view, Mr. Adderley's politics is finished. That he could have retired, and that would be the best solution for him in relation to the situation that he put himself into. The alliance with Miss Eastman is a natural alliance. These are the remains of the group that was very supportive of Mr. Arthur and very suspicious of Miss Motley. So that they would have wanted to come together from the start, but it was politically inconvenient to do so. And they have now felt that enough time has passed that they could make the arrangement to come together, and that people would be less upset about it or concerned about it or pay sufficient attention to it. So that is why they have come together. And also, it is another movement of desperation by Mr. Adderley, because it gives some further life to his political career, which has really ended. It helps Miss Eastman to give some life to her ambitions, and I suppose that her aspect of the party would be the ground that would more slightly more continue. I think that the people around Mr. Adley should see clearly that his initiative in relation to party building dies with him, and therefore he has gone to a natural ally, and he has probably given a little life to Ms. Eastman. But the other third party, they have no immediate future either.
Okay. Now, Dr. Bell, what I'm gonna do with this, we are coming close to wrap up time. I'm gonna give you the final say on, put you out on a limb here in terms of your predictions for this election, this snap election. So feel free to delve in there.
But I'm not free to delve in anywhere. The all I can say is that the on the basis of political practice and looking at the behavior of electorates, that there's little chance that the Barbados Labour Party will be defeated, and the struggle for the Democratic Labour Party to recover is uphill, and any success for the Democratic Labour Party would be represented in it's winning any number of seats, and I don't expect it to win many seats. And I think that would be the outcome, that the Barbados Labour Party would have, in a sense, given up some of its dominance by having this early election, and simply on the basis of that, if you have 30, all you can do from 30 is to lose some. And the Democratic Labour Party, unless it was going um, into collapse as a political party, which I don't think that it is, then the possibility for recovering ground would be there. And therefore, that is what the outcome of the election should manifest. It should manifest a limited recovery of the Democratic Labour Party, which they can put down as a success, and some reversal of the extent of the victory of the Barbados Labour Party from the last occasion. But just remember that the campaign, because of the situation with COVID, I suspect is going to be more important. The campaign for both parties, because bringing their supporters out is going to be very critical. The Democratic Labour Party people could um, see that they could be feeling that they can't win and therefore stay home. Or on the contrary, they could come to a that there's a chance that if you vote for an opposition, that they might get some seats. So that they might be motivated on the basis of a slogan, vote for an opposition. The Barbados Labour Party, on the other hand, might also suffer from complacency and decide that we can win anyhow and therefore stay home. And that could give room for somebody to break through where they might not otherwise have broken through if the party was conscious that it still has to give itself full support or it will lose ground.
Okay. And we're gonna leave it right there, Dr. Bell. And again, insightful as always. And I want to thank you again for taking the time for joining us today on State of Our Nation. Thanks again, Dr. Bell, and do have still Happy New Year time. Still time to wish you Happy New Year. and,
Yes,
and and
same to
and
you.
yes, thank you
Right.
very much, sir. Have a good one.
Okay. Goodbye.